So Jack, what I'm looking for is, I'm going to do it with a lot of force. It's going to happen really fast. The first time I'm going to fake you out for comedic reaction.
Okay.
And then the second time I'm really going to go, it's going to be kind of going, it's not going to be perfectly horizontal, but it will lie within this. But I need you to capture it kind of at its peak. You know what to do. You'll see it. So we're doing this visually. He'll see it and trigger. And it's so fast, as long as you get a feel for where that is, and maybe even doing it a hair faster than you think you might need to do, or a hair later, you can make adjustments as time goes on. And I don't think we're going to splash too much on the back. We have, I do need to make sure, do we have a back plate? Do we have a plate where there's nothing in it?
We've got a couple plates with nothing in it. But
and we haven't moved the camera
We haven't moved the camera, we haven't moved the lighting.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you're triggering stuff by hand, it's always good to make sure the camera's locked down. And I have so many knobs on this thing, I have to twist them all. This one's not loose, oh yeah. I have to twist them all to make sure we're fully locked and that this won't move. Because even when you press down on this, it will move a little bit. Which isn't a deal with the flash. What it is reframing. So if we get stuff that, if the camera moves over time, it's just a matter of, we have to drag every frame to perfectly match the other one before we can work again. Something we want to avoid if we can. Okay, here we go. So another thing, Jack, to remember is when you shoot, it has, if you don't shoot for a while, it has to wake up. So you have that initial trigger. Remember the one that we ran into?
Yep.
Okay. So shoot it. Oh, you already got it. Okay. Are you ready? Now, Melina, I want you to watch how this happens and check to see if there's any issues with the way we've set this up that we can fix. So when we start really tossing it. All right, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
Just holding it, I know the liquid's going to come out first. All right. Cameras are on. Here we go. The thing is, I don't want the pot to go with it. The thing, I have to stop the pot. I kind of want the pot to be in the frame, and you're like, shut up, throw it. But I want the pot to stop right here because it's not just exciting throwing stuff. We have to compose something. I kind of do want the pot in the frame. I just don't want my huge grizzly hands in the frame too. So I don't know if we have hand models that can throw stuff, but I think we'll just go with it. If we get a good splash image where the pot's not in there, we're good. If we don't, we don't. But I need to stop right about here for it to be in the frame, which is, I think, fair to say.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. You ready? One, two, three. Too late, or too early.
Yeah, probably too early.
Is there anything in that frame at all?
Looks like no.
All right, how did we do? Exactly what I thought would happen. So do you want to grab all that? Yeah. I'll help you with it. So we have to reset. Normally on a shoot we would reset. I'll get it all. So I need to move this much more towards. Thank you very much. So if you want to get the rest of that real quick. So Jack, let's practice timing.
I was just going to squeeze this off real quick.
So we didn't hit the background. So the good thing is that the tub wasn't positioned perfectly, which isn't ideal, but that's okay, that's fixable. We have a picture of the copper already, so even when we squeegee this off, it's mostly just for cleanliness. What I need to do is get the tub into the corner because regardless of how things go, I'm going to naturally start to aim for that. So we need to move it, scoot it in, and then Melina's going to get this picked up. We'll refill. I'm going to refill the bucket with some of this liquid. Now, from your perspective, what did you see happen? So, because I'm in the moment and Jack's triggering, when you saw this fly out, did you see the liquid go first, or the vegetables, or both? Was it a mixture of the two? Or were you just like, oh wow? All right. That's what happens. That's the thing you have to get over is the oh wow thing, and not be excited at all by the fact that because you have to be focused on the details, not just the big picture. We're not even at the big picture yet. We haven't even caught anything on camera. But okay, so here we go. But that's a common thing. You just have to get in a groove, and I'm going to go with Jack. I'm just going to throw like a lemon across, and I want you to capture that lemon in the middle. So we'll practice. All right, so we got a little bit of liquid, a little bit of oil. Thank you, Melina. I'm going to owe Melina big time. She's going to be doing a lot of picking up off the floor. Now, if I move this over to the edge, though, we could avoid this completely. So this stuff's pretty, the food is pretty durable. I always check between shots to make sure something hasn't succumbed to the crashes, which will eventually happen. So you do have to work fast if you're going to reuse stuff. But in a home, when you're doing this on your own, reusing's the way to go. It's too expensive to have. For a shoot, I would buy multiple stock bots. I would buy multiple of this, or at least have containers where I can at least pour them into. Two stylists would be filling 10 of these at a time, and we just go, go, go. So I'm going to move that back there. That'll catch pretty much everything. I'm going to get rid of this unnecessary sand. No, it's not unnecessary. Okay.
Do you want to cover that more?
Yeah, if you want to get a little bit of just anything, any kind of plastic's fine. You can cut a little bit. So we're going to do a piece of corn. We're going to do a test here, and this is good for you to do at home to practice your skill as far as. I'm not saying Jack can't do it. We need to get in a groove for sure. So, all right, I'm gonna throw it just as hard as I would the stock bot, and I'm gonna have him grab it. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, go. When I go, I'm throwing. 1, 2, 3, go. That was good. Right in the middle. And it went in the bucket. So now we've solved all the little problems that we've achieved. So we have a piece of corn, so that's good. And then but, okay, so zoom in on the corn if you can. Look at I know the monitor isn't as contrasty and saturated.
We're definitely a little far. I want to say that's too far back on the plane of focus. So I'm going to push focus into scene just a tiny bit further.
Okay, do you want me to hold the corn so we can do a test?
Huh?
Do you want me to hold the piece?
Yeah.
The thing is, I think this is going to be the front of focus as opposed to up here, because I do go at an angle. So there's troubleshooting
so you can
at the
see
beginning.
how sharp it is now.
Okay, let's throw it. Let's make sure we're not getting any.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we're not getting any. And I'll just do a soft toss this time so you can just get it. That's too early. But I think we got it. Let's just check sharpness on it. But you see the corn?
Yeah, that's much better.
Do you see how the edge lighting really makes it pop? You get fill on the right. It's as if it's as if I were just photographing just that, taking time to photograph just that piece. That's what the strip lighting does for you on both sides. No matter where you are, and I actually like the fact that there's no fill. It's adding more drama, and you can bring up the shadows in post-production, no problem. So having that V-flat isn't mandatory, although it is nice sometimes. Okay, let's do another throw. Let's do it. I'm gonna make sure there's lobster on top, and lemons are distributed easily. And here we go. You don't want to throw too high either. Are you having fun with this, Jack?
Oh, always.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, we did it again.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna trigger. You can throw.
Sure.
All right. Now, if you're okay with we can squeegee that off. That's probably not a bad idea, but the background is what you want to avoid getting anything on, because it really, and we did get a little splatter. Where'd my stock pot go?
I put the sock pot over there.
Okay. Let's style this up again. We're gonna get something in frame.
You want more liquid or better not?
No, that's actually more of it. Maybe a little bit more. Okay.
Using your glove.
All right, I'll show you the triggering. It's really about patience. You get really excited, and especially in your first few tries, it's totally normal for this to happen. And it's easy to pre-trigger. So if there's a question.
Can burst mode be used instead of single?
Can what?
Can burst mode on the camera be
Burst
used
mode's
instead
no
of
good
single?
because what I'm after is the peak action. Burst mode is a good way to get before and after shots. I'm looking for that. I'm visually looking for that, and I can feel it. You'll see me when I trigger. I can find that peak action. If you get 3 shots, if you're at home, burst mode it's actually not fast enough, because even if you're going super fast, between those shots it could be left and right of the frame. There's only one shot that will always be good, and so it's good to just go for that shot rather than just waste images, because then you're filling up you have to edit and find out which images are which. It's good to really commit to a single shot. It's not as fast. If you have a super fast sports camera, maybe, but even the Broncolors are really good about flash recycling, especially at the lower powers. So that could work, but you're still going to end up with less than the ideal, because you're looking for that one shot, not a few. Whereas in sports, a few will work, and there's a few. All right, so you have are you up for this, Jack? Is that okay? So you want to keep it pretty low and with a lot of force. And I kind of just hold on to one of the handles and then hold the back of it and then push it in, like just do and I'll go vertically on that. So this is how I hold it. I'm left-handed though, but like this to grab onto it.
Sure.
And then this to actually like this, and then go bam, but only right-handed. I am left-handed, so I can't explain anything to anyone. You just do this. They're like, what? Okay.
And yeah.
Catch bucket. Was the internet freaking out about that? They didn't see it, did they? Thank you, student. The student has become the master. Okay.
All right, Steve, you ready?
I have to get in my triggering position. Here we go. Okay.
1,
Hold on. I want to make that shot. I don't want the shot to be delayed.
2,
Okay.
and 3.
Well, now I'm getting warmed up.
Shall we trade back?
No, scoop this in. So when you have oil and water mixed together, it becomes slippery, so you got to really watch it. So let's get something on camera for everybody. Do it again, and I will promise you this time we will get it. And so when I go off set, I'm going to the towel, and I usually have a towel hanging on the tripod, so I have it. And I always do a trigger to make sure that it hasn't gone to sleep on me. All right, so here we go.
Ready?
1, 2, yeah.
1, 2, 3.
There we go. Now we're in the groove. It's a little high, but we're in the groove. So you see the splashes, and you see there are some things that need to be fixed from a lighting perspective, but I like it. So we were high on that one. I saw that there was a question. Is that in fact the case? Okay.
Yeah, just in between the shots, feel free to keep moving full speed ahead. But
Yeah.
if there is time for questions, let me know.
Okay.
One of the questions was around, I think you mentioned why you don't use, but again, the motion sensor triggering. People are wondering, have you ever tried that? In theory, that might help.
It helps. It helps if you're doing controlled, like a drip. There's triggers that trigger off of sound and triggers that trigger off of a laser. The thing is, I'm looking for an artistic thing to happen in front of the camera, and I want that to happen at a certain time, and sometimes it depends on the force. The force matters. So if you have a laser delay that's set to a certain delay or just to be instantaneous, just because if a line goes way out in front and happens to trigger that trigger, it goes before you're ready, and so it's better to kind of take some shots. We do this all the time. We miss the first 5 shots all the time. We just don't have it. And a trigger would solve that, but you'd never get that perfect. There's always something that hits it before the rest kind of gets going. So it's just as unpredictable as doing it by hand in this instance. But if you're doing drip photography or things that are very closely calibrated, then a trigger is much more useful in that instance. So we're gonna put this back in the pot. Liquid, please. And there's no denying that things will start to get beat up. So once we have this, which is almost the mock-up right now, once we get in a groove and we are in a groove, add more liquid, I think. And if you want to make more of that too, that'd be great.
I'll do that next.
Cool, thank you.
More oil?
No, I think we're okay on oil. It's starting to stick to the vegetables, so it kind of hangs out there. All right, here we go. I'll trigger and throw this time. I'm just kidding. So what we're gonna do is,
We need to come in flatter.
you're almost actually just act like you're serving it to the table.
Okay.
Like you would never really serve it that way.
Right.
But just, but come in very straight.
Yeah.
But almost like you're maybe go down on and just have it crash as
Yeah.
opposed to just throwing it in the air. Just go very horizontally, but it goes, as horizontally as possible. All right. Huh?
The bucket, catch bucket.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna put, Melina, you're on bucket duty. All right, it's in the corner, we're ready to go.
Okay.
If we don't put it on there once, we're gonna have a major mess. Okay,
Yeah, so I'm going real flat on this one.
okay,
And you ready?
yeah.
1, 2, 3.
All right. Yay! Not bad. Okay. So the one thing I see right now is that the left side has too much shadow. The right side isn't bad. Which is interesting because the left softbox is actually pulled more forward, but we are getting, you know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this forward. I'm gonna actually have you throw it from behind the softbox. So I'm gonna pull this forward a little bit more. Because he's throwing it into the scene, the left softbox isn't far enough forward to actually light the side. It's almost backlit, which actually does create sort of a nice look because the right side is filled in more, but it's still way too dark. So we need to pull the lights forward to fill in that. It's really contrasty, really edgy right now, really cool. There is liquid going through it. You actually see a pattern of liquid from the left to right following the food, which is kind of what I'm looking for. But I'm looking for more than that. So I might add more liquid to the shot. We're gonna pull the images forward. And we're gonna go, I think, Jack, even a little higher is fine. I wouldn't actually go just throw it onto the surface,
Yeah.
but let me give you some help here. Let's do, and do you wanna prep another one to be ready to go into the pot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Use that same pot or give it from pot?
No, just give it like a bowl out of the thing and just have it ready to put in. Maybe even get, since we're gonna start shooting heroes soon, I'll take care of the bucket, I'll make sure that's there, but if you wanna get like 2 hero bowls that we can just actually put in.
Okay.
And then I'll just transfer, I didn't wanna go buy tons of lobster, go figure. So we're gonna transfer that, that's gonna be used in every shot, and I'll just transfer it. Okay, whew, it gets slippery.
Yep.
Oil and water don't mix. All right, so this needs more liquid for sure. Thank you, Melina. So I'm adding more than I did before. A little bit of oil. And the reason, why am I adding the oil? It adheres to the food, so it gives it a nice glisten. And it's not just one liquid, there's, it does have a sparkliness to it, so I don't want to forego that, even though it's really making for a slippery set. Okay, so you're a good splasher. Let's move that.
I pulled the light forward so I can hit it from here.
All right. Do you still have room, or is that
Yeah.
too? Okay. I still want the edge lighting to occur without being too filly, because now it's gonna be really filly. All right.
Well, we can turn Phil down in
Yeah.
our post real quick after this.
Okay, so that's going like that. That's going from behind it. This actually needs to come forward too, because now what you're doing is you're going to be aiming naturally for this side. So I'm going to move the bucket to here, and I'm also going to compensate this light too now. So we're just going to move both lights forward and come from behind so we get a nice edge light on it. All right, I think that will do the trick. So just an inch higher, but I'd really do the same thing as you did last time.
Yeah, this will naturally be a little higher because with the added liquid, I can't flatten the thing out as much.
Okay.
So.
All right, let's go.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
How do we do?
Quite a bit higher.
That's a lot better though. That's nice, right?
Yes, still
Yeah.
a little early.
Huge improvement. No, there's no question that when you do this, even when you've been doing it forever, you have to warm up. It's like, when you go running, you don't just go running. You stretch, and that's what we did. We stretched, and now we're really in a groove where we see everybody's. Sometimes there's certain shoots that just jack triggers, and then certain shoots where I trigger and someone does the throwing, and just for some reason someone falls into that position and it just works. So sometimes he'll trigger and does a great job, and then sometimes I'll. But you see the sharpness you're getting there at 100%. It almost looks like it's too enrobed, so I think even more aggression if you can handle it
I
would
can
be.
definitely get a little more force.
But I think that's one of the plates we'll select as a keeper for the left side. Because what I'm thinking maybe is that we have we blend in the left side of the shot with another shot where I get maybe the right side and kind of create an S with the material, and then I'll start to clone in some pieces around. This is usually how it works. I'll throw just straight vegetables and no liquid, or just liquid, and I'll start to blend that in around the edges to create more drama. If you get too much force, this looks beautiful because it's gentle, but it doesn't have as much of a dramatic gesture and aggression to it that I like. So in order to get that, if you throw it too much, the water just sprays everywhere and you get this massive wash of spray, and it doesn't look as clean and as interesting as this. So there's some happy medium that we're trying to find that will allow us to get what we want.
Why did you choose to do the liquid the way you did? From the pictures, it looks kind of muddy and it's too transparent to be a broth or water, but it's not, it looks a little muddy. Why did you choose that?
I chose it, it's the same color as you would have a light chicken stock or it has a golden hue as it is in reality. So how it appears on the screen is way muddier than we're seeing on our screen. It looks like chicken broth on our screen, and we're also going to bump up, if we do see something that's muddy, we're going to be toning down, we're going to take the oranges from more yellow to red. So I see that happening very much in this scene, where we take that and it looks more golden than it does muddy. I think on that monitor it's very neutral, it's very unsaturated, and very, here we're getting a perfect chicken broth, but it still needs to be pushed. There's no question. But I would rather have that. If we had too much, it'll start to look like, shrimp iced tea, and people are going to wonder why you like that combination. But you're right. Yeah, so I think what we could do is add a little more. Do you want to add a little bit more of the kitchen bouquet to the, we can try
Make
a
it a little
darker.
darker?
Yeah, if we get too dark, it doesn't look as fresh. We could just go with straight water, but then I feel you're losing something. So as long as we color balance it to where it's not a muddy color, I think we're in the ballpark. At least from this angle that I'm getting. I'm not going to change the lighting at all. I think the lighting's really good. I do want to dry off the background because getting rid of that in post, even though we have a frame of it not there, is annoying. So I'm going to get a towel, and yeah.
Speaking of color balance, now that we've tweaked the lights around, let's pull another white balance card or another color card, and we'll recalibrate off of that to see if we can't get a little more accuracy.
Let's do it. Watch your step on here. It's getting
real slippery.
So when you're doing this, it can be stressful. This isn't always fun. It's mostly fun, but it can get kind of like, you can get exhausted. Like there were weekends I would be doing test shooting all weekend because I rented the flash, and it was exhausting because there's so much cleanup. In between shots, it's not like you just go, and you get it on one try. You have to warm up like we did, and then on top of that, you've got to stick to it and get every image that you're looking for. And I still haven't actually addressed the fact that we have this black acrylic back there. Have you guys wondered what that is and why it's there? Okay. This is our background, obviously. This was just here because, like I said, we don't have the drapes installed to control backlight. So for light, to keep light from spilling into the frame, we take a shot at 2/50th of a second with no flash just to make sure that it's completely black. If you see any color in that image with no flash, it means that portions of that image are going to be affected by natural light, and you'll get a blur in those spots. So at least we have the backlight controlled a little bit going right in the camera, and that helps a lot just to make sure we don't get that. When you see a blurry image or a blurry portion of the liquids, you're going to question yourself saying, am I focused right, or is it the flash duration? There's multiple things that can be causing it. One of them is the flash duration if it's not properly set, or if you have light bleeding into your scene affecting your exposure, and it can also be focus. So you have to figure out, you have to know by look which one is which, and it tends to be the ones that are caused by light infiltrating it. There'll be a little bit of a shadow and a streak, and the ones that are caused by focus are just soft around the edges generally. So there are two different looks to that, and you have to be able to see which one is which, and we'll end up invariably be able to show you. But I think we're actually getting it right down the middle, which is helpful. So you do want to control the light in your studio so that you won't have to worry about that as an issue. So take that first image at 2/50th of a second with no flash. If it's black, then you'll never have to worry about the fact that it's just your focus. You don't have to, because sometimes I'll twist focus saying, oh my God, there's no way to get this in focus. And then I'll realize either my shutter speed happened to get tripped up and it's not 250, or there is some light getting in there that's dramatic affecting it. So it's better to be in a darker room for this, but we do need lights for the video. But regardless, we're still getting the shot. You'll notice there's a lot of light in here. None of it's affecting our image. So, oh, you look great in that shot. Okay, here we go. So we have,
Is that a prep pot, or is that just the stuff that I dumped
this is
in?
a final prep pot, and I have Melina going ahead and she's gonna create replacements, which she's already done, which is really helpful. Okay, and I'm done adding oil for a while. When we put a new one in here, I'll add a little bit more oil. All right, here we go. And just, I think let's do one with all of the aggression you can muster
Yep.
for this round, and then I'll. All right.
All right, Steve, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Too high. Too high.
Too high.
Yeah. That was pretty aggressive, though.
We got some good aggression. It looks nice. It's just
So aggressive.
off frame.
It shows you how little room you have to work when you're throwing this. That's why I back off on the exposure. But even now, we still have. So I'm going to get the lobster. I'm going to forgo everything else, and we'll get a new styled.
Okay. And you can see why we have plastic up, because I pretty much hit Melina with some of that food.
Not really, you just missed me with.
Is it going through the plastic, or are we fine?
No, I just
Okay.
missed the plastic.
The
It went
corner.
off this edge, and we had some corn end up all the way over there.
This looks nice. Okay, that looks really good. Let's add a little warmer. Did you at least get a sense of how much liquid? Do we need more or less from that shot?
That seemed pretty good.
So just don't lob it. Go really straight forward.
Yeah.
It's more of a push, but with a little height. So
Yeah.
we're not just going right towards the surface. But that was.
Do you want to restyle this at all?
I do want to get a lobster in the front. Are they even in here? Where are they?
In your other bucket.
No, they're in there. They're in the bottom somewhere. Yeah, they're there. Okay, so that's good. That's good. All right. Let's throw another. We're just grabbing stuff off the floor. It's cool. All right, got a lime. That looks good. Let's go for it. This one's broken. This one's not open. And where's your squeegee? We got it. So we're gonna squeegee this onto the floor. Where's the bucket? So you're throwing left to right, so we're gonna go over here on this. So it's important we just get it right down the middle. Just more of a push than anything, and we'll grab this one. That's done. If you wanna grab, yeah, I'll do the other side too. So it's not all, as you can see, there's a patience involved with this, like a lot of patience. All right, here we go.
All right, Steve, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
That's going to be a decent one. It's low, but it's good. That's almost a good panorama. I like that one a lot. What do you guys think? It's interesting. The nice thing about this is it has the liquid, but it's not overtaking everything else. It's kind of following it. But if we crop the top out of this, we have a shot, almost in one frame. Yes.
Super cool. First of all, I just have to comment that someone at home is watching this with their kids, and the kids are saying, "Throw that soup! Throw that soup!" So shout out to those kids. Can you explain again, though, why it is that you are doing this, sort of trying to get so much of it together versus one by one by one, the different ingredients?
Yeah, I mean, there's instances, especially in commercial shots, where you'll know which one is appropriate, which approach is appropriate. But when I'm doing personal work, I want it to be more like it happened in one shot, and not contrived. However, there are ads that you see. There are some major photographers who do work that there's tons of errors in, but I know personally that those are because somebody requested that something be a certain way, and because most of it was composited, and they didn't have the budget or time to actually spend days and days creating color casts. Because what will happen when you have stuff interacting like this, there's color casts. The yellow in the corn is affecting the liquid. The purple potatoes are being reflected somewhere. There's tons of nuances going on here that you would never be able to, you could never recreate this in Photoshop ever. You couldn't even come close. So when you have something that's very clean, like my rum shot or the tropical fruit shot, you can get away with some of that. You can still tell with your naked eye that there was obviously some Photoshop going on there, obviously. That's the way with a lot of ads. Getting to that point where it's kind of you're second guessing whether it was done is where you really want to be. When I do it, I spend a lot of time to create the color casts that happen. But if it's just someone wanting a splash like this to look fresh using their ingredients, we will do it till we get the shot naturally in one frame and then add little pieces here and there that we shoot separately. We'll just attach like a potato to armature wire and just, not even sure. Yeah, I've got it right here. I use this a lot in food photography, and we'll probably use this later on, where you just connect a potato to this and you just hold it. Some people use a paintbrush. It's actually a good idea to put just like a T-pin or a needle, a thick needle on the end of a paintbrush so that we can hold it, because this will bend if it's too heavy. So I'll use this for lighter things. But yeah, this comes really handy, because what we'll do is we'll make our own luck. We'll just keep going. For a shoot, we would probably do 30 more of these maybe, and then we'll pick the best one, and then we'll start to shoot pieces in addition to that, and then Photoshop them in naturally. And with the Broncolor, there's not as much of a difference between the exposures because it's such a high-end flash. So I can actually paint with a soft paintbrush, just paint stuff in, and it looks like it was done in the same shot. There's very little exposure difference, and if there is, I'll just do a little, layer adjustment. You can cut stuff out, but it tends to be that you've got to be really good with how your images, because these aren't perfectly sharp edges, so you've got to add a little fuzziness to those edges if you're going to do that. Totally fine to do that too. It actually gives you a little more leeway. But if you're cutting stuff out, it means that you're really looking to move it somewhere, because you don't want any of that background. And if you're looking to move it, then you're already the lighting's not right. So I take a very natural, painterly approach to Photoshop, which will probably drive people crazy at home. But it's just the way I work. And I try and get it right in one shot, and then very gently add stuff naturally, so it looks like it's supposed to be there. Because it will quickly look out of place if you try and move stuff or bend stuff. And I'll show you how that happens in post-production later too.
That wire that you're holding, is that the same one you used for that donut and coffee shop?
No, for the coffee shop, I actually had the glass of the mug propped, actually held in place. And then I actually had the donut held in place, and I actually moved the mug into the donut. And that way the coffee interacted with the donut, because you could have shot everything in pieces, but I love the interaction of stuff. So I just photoshopped the other donuts in later, but they were placed specifically using this, or even just a stick or something to hold it in place, like a long toothpick, or a chopstick or something. Yeah, something you can easily remove later, and put it exactly where I want it, so there's no mistaking it. Because there's only so much luck you can have. You can't get everything in one shot for certain images. For this, it's so randomized that we're gonna get a good shot. I'm already happy with this. We can clean this up and make it look awesome, because we have left to right stuff. There's a tailing on the right side of the liquid. There's an entry point of the liquid. It becomes really, the rosemary just happened to fall in the perfect place. Everything's sporadically placed in the shot. It's just a little bit low. But if we crop it down, we have a shot already. And a cool panorama, if I don't say so.
Understand?
What's the duration? So for such a shoot, we're looking at 30 images, like keep on filling it up and prepping it. I mean, this looks like it can take up to 2 days or...
Oh yeah, and we go slower to show you, but when we're in a commercial shoot, we'll have, Melina would have tubs full of these, which we have now, full of pre-made. Well, it costs a lot of money to buy 10 pounds of lobster, so just that alone would probably put you out. That's more than the Broncolor. Forget about the rental fee. Food can get expensive for these shoots because you have to reuse it. Our limes in the shot are already finished, so we have to go in and we're going to use. Actually, we did put new ones in, so they're pretty good. But you have to keep replenishing stuff. But you have to look in your bucket and say which is going bad, which is still good. Especially if you're on a budget doing this. You don't have to use. You don't have to use expensive ingredients though. You can just do an amazing liquid shot. It doesn't cost any money to do a liquid shot, really. You can just use water out of your tap and find something. You can find perfume. You can do product shots too like this. There's no difference. Except you have to be aware of the reflectivity of the pot. So we might do a few shots where you actually get the pot in the frame and I capture it coming out of the pot. So we can do that too if you want to see that. Because when you deal with reflective surfaces and splashes, then it gets really difficult because you have to have product photographer brain going on and the lighting around you to support it, as well as keeping your eye on the splashes. So But yeah, the duration, it takes a long time to do any shots, but we're also much more streamlined. We're going bang, bang, bang. So I'll actually shoot, we'll just have it all lined up here, and I'll have Jack or me just splash, and I'll take a shot, splash, take a shot, splash, take a shot. And then we have an assistant refilling the buckets on the other end, and then sending them back. So it's just a chain reaction. So it goes way faster, but we kind of want to show you how you would do this if you're on your own. You're not going to have, we don't even always have that many assistants, so we do have to scramble and make this work like this. And we always get the shots that we got that were just a gray wall, we get those shots done before the client shows up, and so they don't have to see that. So it's good that you got to see it, because you're not going to get it on your first shot. The triggering, if you do it my way at least, the natural way, will result in more shots like this than not, but you're going to have a few at the beginning that are just nothing. And it's always funny. You're always like, really? I'm a pro, right? Yeah, but then you finally get the groove and you're fine. And you wouldn't get this if you're just bursting it like crazy. It would be before or after. You would be even more lucky to get the shot if you weren't doing the timing, because I'm watching him come out, and once I'm on my roll, then I get it most of the time, depending on where it's thrown too.